Local supporter Ben says, does the church hierarchy understand that the more worldly and modern the church becomes, the less people are interested? If not, why not?
I would agree. I think it can be a problem. There's a need here in which we have to walk a knife's edge. We have to see the signs of the times, and then we have to respond to it prophetically. Some of that means being able to speak the language of the time in a way that will be understood. So there's a certain way in which we do need to understand modern culture and be able to speak to it in a way and in a language that can be understood and that won't be alienating. But we can't accommodate ourselves to the culture, which is, by definition, the world, which is an enemy of God, because there's aspects within it which are contrary to God and his plans. So there's two mistakes that we can make in the church, and one is to give up and accommodate ourselves to things which are contrary to God's will, which are contrary to the commandments, which are contrary to the mission of the church, to just sell out to what is convenient and what is easy and what is culturally going to win us friends or appear to win us friends, which it doesn't. And that's just surrendering the fear of God to the fear of man. And then there is the other mistake of becoming so rigid and inflexible that we don't care if anybody's listening to our message or can understand it. So we have to walk that knife's edge. I think that we can find examples of both in the church today. And I think we have to be very careful. It's not an easy place to walk, and we're going to make mistakes. But the moment we start surrendering the gospel to popular ideologies for the sake of convenience or the path of least resistance.
Or trying to make them like us more.
You know what? It will never work. In my own country, Canada, there's a big deal about the whole residential schools thing. People forget that the reason the church even bothered to accept the government's invitation to be involved in those schools is because it was the latest modern craze. It was the latest sociological fact that the best thing for the native peoples was to Europeanize them and to. We always get in trouble when we sacrifice our own theology, our own understanding of what God has said in favor of some local or some recent sociological trend. When we sacrifice that, we're dead. We're dead in the water. Because it's the gospel has power. And it is the gospel that brings human flourishing. It's the gospel that speaks to what human beings really are and what we really need, and will build up human dignity, will allow us to thrive as human beings. So, yeah, it's a great question. And does the hierarchy understand that? I would say read the Catechism of the Catholic Church. In principle, we do. Are we always faithful in living it out? I think that one of the great troubles we have is that in addition to being holy by her very essence, because she is founded by Christ and is the body of Christ, the church is also filled with sinners who are too often influenced by their own culture and their own times, sometimes in ways they don't even understand. One of the analogies I love to use, I know I'm being long-winded here in my answer, is think for a moment of the way that the leaders of the Jewish people in the first century received Jesus. You know, they're seeing him do the signs of the Messiah. They're seeing things. He's acting and doing things in the very person of God, taking the very Torah and saying, you've heard it said, but I say to you, claiming lordship over the Sabbath, forgiving sins, etc., etc. But they can't believe in his divinity because they can't get past his humanity.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
You know?
Yeah.
They can't see the divine glory coming from him because they can't believe that God gets earwax.
Yeah.
Or has got to cut his fingernails.
Yeah.
You know, or gets tired.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing that many people can't see the divine glory shining in the church through her sacraments, through her teaching, through her saints, through her, all of this majesty of, because they can't get past the fact that it is mediated through broken, weak human beings, people that St. Paul himself says are cracked pots, trying to hold the immeasurable grace because it's leaking out. So I would hate to think that that I'm a barrier to the glory of God shining through Mother Church by my own weakness and humanity and sin, but that people can see beyond the humanity and see God at work.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment below letting us know what you thought about the video.